Welcome, welcome, Liberians. Welcome, civil servants across the length and breadth of this nation. Welcome to your program, a program that is designed for you called taking place within the civil service agency through the various divisions and sections or units. And it is there, the civil service agency, a central government agency that has a statutory mandate since May 1973 to what carry out to advise government on human resource management and policies of the civil service, is there to carry out a recruitment, or that is to recruit qualified Liberians through the civil service testing process and through a very, very merit-based process to admit Liberians into the civil service. And those Liberians who are into the civil service, it is the duty of the CSA to making sure that those Liberians are professionally driven, that is, they are aware of what they are there for and carrying out the job correctly, and as well as to formulate programs that would motivate civil servants. Mind you, once you have people motivated to work so illustriously. So that's the activity of today. As we've always done, today we're going to go delve strictly to our talking point. We normally will bring a division or a section or a unit from the civil service agency to lead the conversation. Today we are pleased and are fortunate to have with us two personalities from the career management and training division of the agency, in person of the director of that division, or we have our man honorable Claudius Broderick. Claudia is the director for the division, and he's been accompanied by his assistant director, Mr. Kuma Zota Kiedi. They are here to lead the conversation. Today we will be speaking on the topic enhancing proficiency within the civil service. Your civil service, if we talk about qualification, we talk about civil servants that are there, they need to be qualified, and these are through the program. This is the division that provides all of that means, the trainings and everything in managing the career of civil servant. So today we want to say welcome to the civil service hour, Director Broderick and Assistant Director Kadir. Welcome to the civil service.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Swear.
Okay, so let's go straight to the point. In between time, we open the lines. Well, just before that, we just re-add the number so that you could join the conversation when we should have opened the line. We say 080514096. 080514096. We announced the opening of the line, but for now we're going to delve straightly into how can we, Director Broderick, how can we, looking at the theme for today or the topic for today, enhancing proficiency within the civil service. How does your division, that is the career management and training division, work in that line?
So thank you again, Mr. Swear. You know, this program is very helpful, especially to our external customers. And when we talk about external customers, we're talking about other civil servants at other ministries and agencies, because this civil service hour normally you bring in directories from within the civil service agency. And as you rightly mentioned, our main duty is to handle human resource management for the government of Liberia. Now, handling human resource means the personnel, managing them and making sure they work effectively. And when you talk about personnel, you're talking about people across a wide spectrum. Like, for example, the persons in the studio, they all are civil servants working for government, helping to make people know more about what the government is doing. We also have police officers, we have nurses, we have doctors, we have firemen, we have people who handle finances. And all of these people must have a set of skills, and they should know how to apply those skills. Our director general once said, a government is only as good as a civil service.
And that makes sense, Joe.
A lot of
Yeah.
sense. I always use what he
Yeah.
said. A government is only as good as a civil service. So if this is true, then of course, civil servants need to have the right type of skills to be productive, for the government to work, for the citizenry to see that the government is in action and is actually working for them. If civil servants don't have the adequate skills, of course, government cannot function properly. So if you see a government fails, that means the civil service has failed. So we all need to have these skills. So in
And just
response
to
to
remind you, Director Burgess, like the current Director General, Honorable James A. Thompson, also said that civil servants are the key catalyst to transmitting our government's policy into action. I just wanted to, add on to exactly what you said, that when the government fails, it means that the civil servants fail. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
So the DG's comment about that,
yeah,
resembles what I mentioned earlier.
definitely, that's what I
It
just said.
means that civil servants need to take responsibility. And the Civil Service Agency recognized this. And at the beginnings of the beginning of the reforms, we had I think in the early 2000, we formed the Career Management and Training Directorate along with other directorates, because we wanted the civil service to be more robust. Wanted the civil service to respond to all of the needs that the citizenry, desired. And one of those things is training civil servants to have the right type of skill to apply, so that fully they can be fully productive, they can be proficient. And the civil service obviously can buttress government effort to carry on a lot of development, the government's development agenda that they're trying to pursue. So training forms a cardinal part of this particular process.
Okay, so before we come to your assistant, let's just dive into it. I mean, obviously, you've just summarized what your division does, but before a Liberian is admitted into the civil service, that person must have been qualified, because looking at the testing process and other things, right? Why is it now that you will have to continue with training for civil servants if they had already been qualified? You just want to speak to that, please.
Training is a continual process.
Okay.
And no one should make a mistake and believe that once the person comes into a job and they have the position, they met the basic requirements, the basic skill requirements, that they would just be satisfied with those basic requirements and continue without any further training. There are a lot of reasons why people must continually be trained. One of the most important reasons for this is things change over time.
Okay.
And there are a lot of new ideas and new ways in which people will pursue a particular agenda. So you need to continually train people so that they can be abreast with whatever latest, issues that arise within the workplace.
Very good. So, Assistant Director Kadia, you are directly involved when it comes to training civil servants. What are the kinds of training you bring to bear, and how do you select those training that you want to impart into civil servants?
So, what we provide at the training division is a hands on training for civil servants across the country. We look at the performance management,
Okay.
the training needs assessment that is given to us through their HR division. And then we look at our training topics. We provide the various HRs with our topics. And we come up with, for example, one of the topics that we delved into was emotional intelligence. That you continuously need emotional intelligence to handle customers. Clients are coming to the government agency.
When you say emotional intelligence, what do you mean by that? I mean, people out there want to be they want to they are eager to know what is emotional intelligence. How do you fit it in with that?
There are a lot of emotional things that we encounter.
Okay.
Be able to manage our emotions both at work. That people like take some things from home and bring it at work area, but the ability to manage it within your work environment, that's what make you intelligent as a public servant.
Okay, that's good. It seems to be good because once that person is disturbed from home, I mean, you can't get anything out of the person. Okay, how does the civil service agency prioritize training opportunities?
Okay.
Any of you can answer directly. How do you, from the agency, how do you prioritize training opportunities?
Well, the emphasis we lay on training or whatever we want to do as an agency that we want for ministries and agencies to follow comes through the national training policy.
Okay.
This is a document that outlines how each civil servant or each ministry and agency should conduct their training within their ministry. And it also talks about how this training can be funded. It speaks about how to select people for training. Like Kumba mentioned, the PMS, the Performance Management System. The performance management system was introduced as a result two of the reforms and a project called the Public Sector Modernization Project. It lasted for about 5 to 6 years, and one of the main goals of the project was to establish this performance management system that was included in the Act of 1973 that you mentioned, but was never applied. So about 5 6 years ago too, we decided that we're going to start to implement this. We designed a performance management system and tried to roll it out to several ministries and agencies. In the performance management system, at the beginning of the year, each civil servant is encouraged by his supervisor to outline things that he's going to do for the particular period. And the particular period we're talking about is from January to December. Within that preparation, you also must be able to advise your supervisor on the needs you need as regards your capacity to do the jobs that was outlined during your performance management at the beginning of the year. So that portion is what the career management and training directorate use, that capacity building portion. And then see through the civil service training center if we can be able to attend to those needs that have been brought over to us. So that's the means that we use the policy and the performance management system.
Okay, so you tend to get information through the performance management to carry out trainings, right? After these trainings are done, how do you is there any of means of making a follow up to see whether these trainings are making much impact as expected? Kuma,
So,
you could, yeah.
so we carry on the supervisory assessment.
Okay.
Where immediately after our training, we distribute evaluation forms for those who have participated within the training, so their supervisor can evaluate them if they are bringing on the hands-on knowledge that they have gathered to the job.
Okay. So, folks, this is the Civil Service Hour here on ELBC. Is an informative, educative, interactive program that is birthed by the Director General and is under the auspices of the Civil Service Agency. The Civil Service Agency is central government agency that has a statutory mandate to recruit qualified librarians onto the civil service, and as well as making sure that those civil servants are professionally driven, and as well as formulating programs and schemes that will motivate civil servants. And it is there to bring you up to speed on matters relative to the. So we want to say the number to call is 08805140996 if you have any concerns generally for civil service. But today we have in studio the career management and training division of the Civil Service Agency, and we are having Director Claudius Bertrich and Assistant Director Kumazota Kiedi. They are here discussing about enhancing the proficiency of the civil service. Today we are discussing enhancing, we are discussing training. You have been having a couple of trainings in recent times. You want to outline some of the trainings you've been having, and what impact is it making?
So some of the training that we have been having is time and stress management. There are a lot of people that if they are not able to manage their stress when it comes to time. Take for example, you go to work and you are disturbed. So sometimes you become disturbed mentally or physically, and then you get to work and then you try to procrastinate your work. In other words, like your supervisor gave you a task and you're unable to do it because you are disturbed. In order for you to manage your time and stress together, you need this training as a civil servant.
So
That a lot of
why
people
would you want to have it as a division or agency? Somebody could say, "Hey, but I don't care." I mean, sometimes people don't care what other people how they feel. What do you think is important to be infused within the training package?
it is very important. In order to get our job done as a civil servant, you need it.
Okay.
It's a continuous process. When you nobody has monopoly over knowledge.
Okay.
So as you grow up, you need knowledge, especially when it comes to this hands-on job training. Take for example, we have conflict resolution.
Okay.
That a lot of supervisor or other employees, line workers, don't know how to manage conflicts in the office, which it has a problem with going to do with your job. If you have a job in the division and there's conflict within that division, some bosses like, okay, let it be. We already know this person is they are confusionist. So, but as a boss, how can you manage that conflict within your office? It's the ability to resolve that particular conflict makes you a good supervisor, and that what comes in with conflict resolution.
Sure.
And another one is change management.
Okay.
There are people that okay, I'm already with this other boss. So when the other boss come in, they're not open. You as a civil servant, you need to be open-minded. And we have to remind our civil servant that no matter your boss, you need to be open-minded.
Okay, so that is, you wouldn't say, because some people will say, "Oh, I used to like the other boss and I like the other boss," right? I mean, sometimes it bring about conflict. So you just talk about stress management, all of those things, and you said sometimes you get these things from the performance. I mean, they inform you to come out with those trainings, or Director Broderick, uh, uh, how did you come about with this stress management thing? And it's so important, right? Because I mean, there are a lot more. I mean, with situation, a lot more you want to. I mean, that come out through the stress thing.
So that's the proper word, situation.
Yeah.
There was a study done in 1944. I mean, that's way back on training and how it's utilized properly within institutions.
Sure.
And it's still relevant today. And they mentioned, besides the fact that training is a continuous process, it also enables employees to adjust to new situations. So you talk about stress management.
Yeah, sure.
That assists with that. You know, issues might come up every day. The external customers don't care about whatever we do. Their timeline to them is the most important.
Yeah.
And the civil servant must respond adequately. We can't afford to make our customers feel not accepted, and we don't want for them to feel that they don't have access to the services that we provide and on time. So we have to be able to deal with those issues that come out mentally. They also talked about the fact that in any large-scale organization, this particular study, efficiency depends on two elements:
Why?
the technical efficiency of the individual to do a particular work, and the last tangible issue with the organization and how they can cope with the individuals that work within them. So all of these topics are essential to make civil servants very effective in responding to the needs of those people out there.
Good. I see all of what you've outlined as with respect to the training to be training or let's say that are generic, right? I mean, anybody can go into it. But has there been a time where you have to be specific as to this man works in the financial area and you think you need to train him into the financial or give him some financial knowledge?
Yes, we do. We also carry out what we describe as government-wide training for
Okay.
people in specific sectors.
Okay.
So we had a lot of programs, but one of the major programs that we had concerning that ended, the FMTP. We had a relationship with that group.
You want to talk further on it, please?
So the FMTP is a program that existed with collaboration from the Ministry of Finance, the World Bank, and the Civil Service Agency to train people in the financial management sector in the civil service so they can have a uniform understanding of government processes. And that program ran for several years. It has ended, but all of the graduates of that program are now working in government positions and some in some private sector organizations. So that was one form of government-wide training. Another form again was the IPTP, which is taught procurement officers from various institutions of government on how we want to carry out our procurement processes. So they all went into that uniform study too, so they all understand the processes that we want for them to carry out. And we also do that for human resource officers. And another interesting infusion for the CSTC, which is the Civil Service Training Center, is the rule of law. It emphasizes the how civil servants carry out their duties. The rule of law is very important because it introduced the ethical component to it on the civil servants training. Like, for example, you should make sure that you apply all of the legal processes while you're doing your job. You should make sure that everyone has access to whatever services the government provides. You should make sure that you're accountable, to the people and to the institution you serve, along with many other fine principles ascribed in the rule of law.
Yeah, that's good. I was just about to ask you on the issue of the rule of laws. We wouldn't talk about it if we don't mention the rule of law. I mean, you just said briefly on it, but I want you to expand further. Why is it the rule of law is so important when it comes to the kind of generic trainings?
Okay, so if you're a civil servant, you're employed to do a specific task.
So,
Take for example, you're a fireman, and you'll be trained in the technical skills of dealing with fires, cutting fires out and helping people to prevent fires. But there's an ethical component to that, the how you approach that job. Like, take for example, people complain sometimes that fire will be in a particular place and then it will take forever for the fire service guys to come over.
yeah.
So if you understand the rule of law, the principles of the rule of law, you know that one, you're accountable to the people. You prepare certain things at your fire service department, and now wait for fire to arrive before you start to put certain things into play. You'll be accountable, so you be more responsible, and you do certain things. So it's the how. The rule of law emphasizes the how you apply your job. And we've linked up with the Folke Bernadotte Academy of Sweden,
Yeah.
who are our partners in this exercise, plus a group of very dedicated civil society organizations, Cental, IRED, and a group accountability lab, and a host of civil society organizations to assist with this process. So it forms the underlining theme of all of our trainings at the Civil Service Training Center. Because even though we want to teach technical skills, we also want to teach the how you're going to apply those technical skills.
Very good. So your training center. So one may ask, how different or how does or if we do want to use difference, how does it complement that of the LIPA training? I mean,
Yes,
anyway.
okay. So LIPA, like Kuma mentioned, something important that differentiates, us from LIPA.
yeah.
She mentioned hands-on training.
Okay.
The civil service has a lot of instruments that we use. Like, for example, the CSM. It's a civil service module used by those responsible for paying civil servants. Now, that particular application is housed at the civil service agency. It's ours. So in order to train HRs and other people responsible for pay, we need to invite them, for hands-on training on how to use this particular application. And there are several other applications for human resources that we use. So the Civil Service Training Center mainly deals with those hands-on things that we want for civil servants to know. Whereas LIPA, I will refer to, endearingly as our cousins, LIPA deals with more hard subjects. Like LIPA might give you a certificate in human resource management. LIPA might give you a certificate in performance management. And we're also encouraging LIPA to even go further, like their sister organization in GIMPA. We hope they can get the kind of support where they will start to give civil servants, graduate degrees in public administration and things like that. So we deal with the how and the hands-on, and LIPA deals with the more technical courses, and hopefully start to grant, degrees to civil servants who are interested.
You want to add to what your boss just said with respect to what makes it a little bit different? I mean, you just said hands-on, but maybe somebody could say those who go there. I mean, you want to.
So for the CSTC, the Civil Service Training Center, we are basically concerned about civil servants across the country.
Okay.
And for LIPA, it's about the entire country, be a civil servant or private employees. For us as a civil servant, we do on hands-on training, like my boss already said. Like quite recently, we just did the SPSS training, and we get certificates on August 18. So we are that's a big difference, and they are our cousins anyway.
Do people pay? Do civil servants pay to get training from the Civil Service Training Center?
No.
And why you think that shouldn't be? How do you sustain such a program? A very good program. How do you sustain that? The purchase. If civil servants wouldn't pay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that we hope to get is additional support for, these government-wide trainings. Before we had the capacity building fund, and we hope that it can be revitalized and all of that. So if we can get that capacity building fund for the civil service agency, and then we can have some additional funding for the civil service training center, that will be good. But the civil service agency is responsible for ensuring that civil servants have the requisite skills to apply their job. So we are not asking for funds, for money for training for civil servants. When we have a course out and we want for civil servants to participate, it's going to be free. We do have some agreements or relationship with other bodies that might request, funds for civil service for training, but that's specialized training in certain areas. But generally, the CSTC would not request, for funds for.
So one may ask, looking at Liberia having between 65 to 70,000 civil servants, right? Mm-hmm. And then how capacitated is that training center is to absorb all of the number I just referenced?
So the CSTC is just about a year old. Sure. And we have several rooms. We need more rooms. We've got support from the African Development Bank to equip the available rooms, and the Director General has given us more rooms, and we hope that some of our partners and government too, will assist in equipping those rooms so that we can be able to respond to more civil servants as we see fit. But the CSCC is not the only one that responds to civil service training. Okay. LIPA, of course, responds to civil service training. So it's one of the major, training arm of government, LIPA. And we also have other training facilities that the Civil Service Training Center approves that can be used for training civil servants.
So what my concern here is this, Director Burgess, you have, like, I will just I'll go back to the same question to say that you have 65 to 70,000 civil servants, and you want to pass on certain training to all of the civil servants. how can you, what mechanism would you put in place to making sure that even if you can have 100% of the total, the number we reference, you want to have 75 to 60, maybe half of it, and have it spreading out that particular training to there.
So before my boss
Yeah,
speak to
go ahead.
that,
Yeah, sure.
we are
You are
working.
directly responsible to it too.
So we are working along with the rural outreach
Okay.
to have TOT trainings with other people, other civil servants that will be able to conduct training in the various counties.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Exactly. So that just shows we're going to expand the training to other areas, to our regions, so that the officers out there too can benefit from the similar training that we do here. And a new method, not just for the civil service but around the world, is computerized
Okay.
training,
That's right.
computer
Yeah,
based
sure.
training. So the civil service training center makes use of this also. And the benefit of computerized training just answers your question concerning 65,000 persons. How can we at the CSTC manage all of that, right? So computerized training will also help so that we can get more people trained. We carried out pilot trainings in rule of law, and we've seen, all of the issues, that arose during that particular thing, and so that particular training. So we're gonna continue to use computerized or computer-based training or e-learning ventures so that civil servants, more and more civil servants, can have access to training. We also know that it's difficult to monitor online trainings, for civil servants, especially the trainings that we want for them to do. But we're working with MAE and our IT people to see how best we can be able to monitor through testing, giving tests to see if civil servants, have gone through these online trainings that they said that they've gone through.
Okay. So, folks, this is the Civil Service Hour. You can join the conversation now on 0880514 Join the conversation now on this number 0880514 We are discussing on the topic enhancing proficiency within the civil service. And today we are privileged to have the director from this career management and training division. He's been accompanied by his assistant. They are here discussing on the topic if enhancing proficiency into the civil service. So we say we are join the conversation 0800514 Well, before we start to take call, I mean it's open now, so we anytime our producer we had she was informed us that we have someone on the line. But before we any call comes in, where do you get your trainers? Where are they from?
Um, about 3 years ago, we started to this database of experts. We try to look within the civil service because, as we just mentioned, we're not requesting money from civil servants,
So
and the reasons that other institutions might, request money is because facilitators need to get paid to, besides, having equipment that need to be maintained, but facilitators need to get paid. So we started to look within the civil service and started to gather a database of what we call a database of experts, long serving civil servants that have some interest, skill set in training other civil servants. So we're gathering that database, and that's from there we're choosing people to facilitate for those various topics and courses that we offer at the Civil Service Training Center.
So you think you use the long service as a means of, or the experience as a means of, thinking that they are equipped. Or how sustainable is that? I mean, I understand that. I continue to say sustainability because it's free, right? It's free. You're not taking your cent from any civil servant, and your focus is that all civil servant, like Director General Thompson will always say, at least a civil servant should have at least an hour of learning. That is, he wants everybody to. So I'm a little concerned as to how can we sustain when we will not take a dime from? Civil service.
So you see, a facilitator who works for the civil service
Yeah.
doesn't need to get paid extra. It's part of his job. So the civil service agent say, for example, if you, Mr. Swain, wants to train on communication because there's a need to train some communication for some officers from the LBS or Ministry of Information. It's part of your job. It'll be done within your job hours from 8, from 8 in the morning to 5.
Yeah.
So all we have to do is just to arrange with the institution, and then we inform them that this particular person is coming at this particular time to facilitate on this particular subject. So it helps with the sustainability issue that we're talking about. Because as I said, one of the main reasons why other institutions charge is because they have to pay their facilitators. Now we don't have to do that because they all work for the civil service agency and they're contributing, and it's a part of their job. And most people that will obviously facilitate will be senior officers or leaders in the civil service. And a requirement of a senior officer in the civil service is to be able to teach other civil servants, to be able to mentor them, to be able to guide them. So it's a part of your job duty.
So, folks, join the conversation if you have any contribution to this topic, enhancing proficiency within the civil service. You can call us on 080-514-096, 080-514-096. Today we are discussing training, how important training is. And today we have the man who does that, from whose division all of these things are done. We have in studio, Mr. Hello? Hello, your name and where you calling from? Hello? Are we not? Hello? Okay, so you can join the conversation again on 080-514-096. We are discussing training, making the training important. How regularly would you want to have this training, assistant director?
So we conduct training basically 2 times a month.
2 times a month you want to have the training?
Yes, 2
What?
times a month. Both internal and external trainings, because we will have to.
Hello? Yeah, I think we have a small difficulty with the line, but we trying to work on it. So 080-514-096. We are here discussing enhancing proficiency in the civil service. So you were just talking about you said twice a month,
Twice
right?
a month.
You want to come out and would you give people certificates? You were talking about certificating people on what
Yes,
basis?
we do certificate people, and we have certificate of participation and certificate of completion. So if, for example, we have a training for 5 days, you must complete the 5 days training before we certificate you.
So other than the 5 completing, you wouldn't give the person certification?
Yes, we have topics for each day.
Why you so bent on that? I mean, somebody came but 3 days out of 5 or 4 days out of 5.
So for everything, you have standards, and the training division has its own standard. Especially, you have 8 topics to complete in 4 days, and then somebody just come for 2 days. That means it's just 4 topics you sat there for, and this another person completes the 4 days. We talk about equity, so it's not fair. It's unjust to give somebody who only participated on the 2 days and then give them certificate. So.
So all concern is here. How do you track the full participation of a staff or let's say a participant, that is in terms of what qualifies that person to get into the certificate of achievement of it or participate, whatever it is? Because sometimes you don't just want to have people going to these places training and just sit there. Do you give let's say post examination or evaluation?
Yes, before the training starts,
Yeah.
we give a pre-test, pre-evaluation for participants,
Okay.
and then at every day of the training, we take attendance.
Okay.
And before the day comes to an end, we'll have a little stick on par evaluation so as to compare the attendance sheet, the number of persons who participated in this training. And then I'm just exposing my secret of how I keep on the track. And then we do the post evaluation test to see if participants are in the same line with us as it relates to the training.
Wow, that's good, folks. I think we're having some issue. We having issue with our with the line, so we will still take more. I mean, we allow the director and his team to continue the conversation. But thank you for your listening, role. Keep following the program. We having issue with our line there, so we want to say, oh, we were just talking about how frequent it's going to be, right? But I just wanted to gather through the step a little bit. What are those things? How you carry out the grading system, participation. I learned that some institutions sent names, but they didn't appear. What happens with the kind of situation?
So you want to speak to it? I can just throw a light on it.
Yeah.
So we send the communication to administrators around, and then when you send a name and you don't participate, we just don't give you certificates.
So it just stops there. I thought you needed to
So
ask. Yeah,
we'll send a
because
communication after
okay.
to inform them, to know why is it that the staff didn't participate in this training. Probably it could be the staff fault or the administrator's fault.
Okay. Before we will be wrapping up very soon, Director Burgess, let me just say that is it possible for an individual entity to ask for training and they conduct that training instead of it coming, maybe LBS could come and say, hey, we want you to train our people into this. Is it possible to have that exclusive?
It happens all the time.
Okay.
Sometimes, with proactive institutions and HRs
Okay.
that actually apply the performance management system. Because you see, that culture of performance management is absent from the civil service of Liberia. And we're trying to institute that. Nobody wants to be assessed, you just come and then your boss tells you what you need to do for that day. It's dangerous for the civil servant because you can be fired or you can be suspended or some kind of measure can be taken against you and you have no reliance because you did not list a set of things that you're going to do, signed for the boss to see, unlike this ad hoc thing that every day you come and then the boss just finds some job for you to do. So performance management is extremely important. It outlines your duties and what you need to do. And if you have any skill gaps doing what you have to do based on what your boss said you can do, you can say it. And then the CSTC, LIPA, or any other institution that your institution believes can satisfy that gap that is approved by the civil service agency, you need to do that.
So good. So, who are those we're really referring to? Are we referring to the supervisee or the supervisor in terms of do we have training package of training for directors, for assistant directors, and other people? Because maybe from the conversation it seems that only those are the lower part of the ladder.
Well, we do have for all levels.
Okay.
Yes, we do have for all levels. Even though our emphasis is on the entry and lower levels, but we do have training for all levels of civil servants. And we apply those training generally, using the same, education model, like, entry level civil servants, intermediate, middle level, and senior civil servants. So we apply, training for all of those levels.
Okay. Assistant Director, you want to give us a parting comment as we wrap up? Yeah. Sorry, folks, with the phone had problems, so we couldn't take any calls. Yes, wrap up the house.
So to the general public and civil servant across Liberia, we've asked that they take advantage, especially the HRs, to take advantage of the Civil Service Training Center to have a civil servant train.
Okay, so Director Burgess, you want to close us?
Yeah. So we also to continue to encourage institutions to be able to fund, training for the people. They should, put aside something for civil service training, because if you don't train your staff, they would not produce properly. It is extremely important. As I stated from the very beginning, our government is only as good as its civil service.
Okay, folks, that was the voice of Director Claudius Bartridge and his Assistant Director, Kumar Cadier, who were here presenting enhancing proficiency in the civil service. They are from the Career Management and Training Center of the Civil Service Agency. This is the Civil Service Hour. I've been your presenter, Joseph Ernest Swen, Director for Communications and Public Relations at the Civil Service Agency. Thank you. We see you